me tell you about a friend. It's Craig LeBlanc where the good times never end. Talking Parks and Rec, it's a show you gotta know. Welcome one and all to the Daily Parks and Rec Show. It's the Daily Parks and Rec Show.
So a lot of times when we think about facilities maintenance, if you're not in the industry, you're just like, yeah, those guys cut the grass. That's all they do. And even though grass cutting is a big chunk of what they do, there's so much more that's thrown at these crews, and they just handle it with such grace. Really, really glad to create this show from this platform for them and for that crew. I think this brings me back to my old days of when I used to work alongside of these type of men.
Welcome to the Daily Parks and Recreation Show. Today, we're bringing you the future of facility maintenance, from smart cities and IoT technology to robotic lawnmowers that take the grunt work out of park care. We'll dive into how these innovations are saving time, money, and resources, all while making our parks more sustainable. Get ready to learn how smart technology is changing the game in park management and keeping our communities thriving. Let's jump in.
All right, Craig LeBlanc with the Daily Parks and Rec Show, Facilities Maintenance Edition. We have a new logo that we're showing off here, a really updated logo. That was the old one, and that's the new one. Great job, Chris, on that. Old, new, better, worse, better, worse. There you go. Okay, love the new, and I love the whole let's talk shop, because that's essentially what we're doing here with facilities maintenance. Guys, if you're coming on this show, it's really no more than you just talking shop, telling us what you're doing, how you do it, just what you do every day. So it's not like you're presenting on something that you don't live. It's a lot easier to talk about something that you actually live than it is to just kind of make something up as you go. So a lot of the masters that we bring on this show have been doing what they do for decades, for sometimes multi-generational. Speaking personally, I am a third generation master electrician. And so, I grew up around electricians. My brother was an electrician. My dad was an electrician. My great uncle was an electrician. And so, in a very similar way, and it's a common story in parks and recreation, I think, just in life, that you kind of follow in your father's footsteps, or you end up doing very similar things. And a lot of people grew up in the tree industry, and maybe their father was an arborist, and so now they've become an arborist, and so they're working on the urban forestry division of the park system. So, and I say all that just because there is a lot of wisdom inside of the facilities maintenance crews out there that are leveraging decades of mastery, decades of wisdom. And our show is here to highlight that 4 days a week, and reaching out to a couple of people that are going to help me maybe put this together a little bit. Let's see. I think we might have just crossed. Let me see if we're either very close or we already did it. 800 followers. Woo! Congratulations, Daily Parks and Rec team. I'd like to thank all the people that encouraged us along the way. Just crossed the 800 followers barrier on the Daily Parks and Rec show on LinkedIn. LinkedIn is quite a beast to build a following and a community on. They make you work for it. But if not for the support of everyone with the Parks and Rec community, we wouldn't have gotten here. And obviously, this is something that y'all are enjoying and that y'all want to see grow, because y'all are coming on the show. Y'all are sharing your testimonies and your wisdom with the rest of America here on all the different shows that we have. And this is one that's kind of near and dear to my heart, though. This facilities maintenance show. Of course, I grew up in the trades. I grew up working with my hands. I grew up, my father was an electrician and I was an electrician. And as I said before, even my great uncle was, my brother was. And so I grew up around men that just worked with their hands, skilled craftsmen. And so it really is refreshing. And then, of course, I got into entrepreneurship, and then I got into Bitcoin, and I got into media production, and it's like I'm getting further and further away from my roots that I loved. It's something about working with your hands and building something. I was kind of big into carpentry as a hobby when I was a younger man, and I loved just building things and doing things. And I'm kind of jealous when I talk to a lot of these Parks and Rec maintenance people, and I know that they're out there building playgrounds and maintaining gorgeous lawns and landscapes and um, especially the urban forestry people. It's like, God, I remember I used to do that literally for 20 years of my life. I lived in a bucket truck and just working with those craftsmen. There's just something about it. They're a funny bunch. First of all, if you haven't hung out for a day with a group of craftsmen that are just doing what they do, uh, maintaining facilities or stuff, they are hysterical. I swear they'll make you you'll be rolling over laughing with the stuff they come up with every day. But anyway, really good crew. I had a great talk with Brian Dixon over at Henry County, Georgia, and he's kind of he has got like 40 guys under him that are doing everything that we to maintain facilities for Parks and Recreation. And it just really blows me away with the amount of stuff that these guys handle. And it never dawned on me. Please go watch that show, um, because almost every Friday and Monday they are preparing for special events. They've got a setup for a special event, and then many of these guys are working over the weekends with some overtime, and then on Monday they're picking up from events. And he said that, we've got many events every week, and there's almost never been a weekend like in 19 years that we haven't had something we've had to prepare for. And that means that only leaves Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday to manage projects, to cut the grass, to clean up the facilities, to do all the work orders that come through and break fixes and all that. And so a lot of times when we think about facilities maintenance, if you're not in the industry, you're just like, yeah, those guys cut the grass. That's all they do. And I'm like, oh my gosh, couldn't be further from the truth. Even though grass cutting is a big chunk of what they do, there's so much more that's thrown at these crews, and they just handle it with such grace. So really, really glad to create this show and this platform for them and for that crew. I think this brings me back to my old days of when I used to work alongside of these type of men. And I love talking shop with them. And that's essentially what we get to do every day, 4 days a week. 208 episodes, if my math is correct, 52 times 4. Yeah, that's 208, 208 hours of potential to give this part of Parks and Recreation a home. And so who would I like to get on this show? Well, I think these are the obvious fits. And of course, y'all can leave in the comment section if you think that of any others. But obviously, superintendents, if you're over maintenance crews, if you're kind of like the direct report to the director, but your whole baby is maintain these facilities, um, you know, prepare us for the special events and help us tear down, construction management, landscape architects. If you are building or maintaining anything in Parks and Rec, so if you're launching a new, let's say you got a new property and you have to, go through the whole process of getting all the bids, managing the work, getting all the ideas, and getting buy-in from the community. And you're building a project top to bottom that falls within this facilities maintenance show. Also, if you're just maintaining what we got, and so this is just the war against Mother Nature when you're when you're just cutting the grass, trying to keep these fields up and running. Um, and then also if you're just keeping them beautiful, and there's a lot of beautification where, and I think Brian highlighted this. He said they had gone through the parks and put like these big industrial, street signs, stop, don't let your dog poo here, don't walk on this grass or whatever, don't, no smoking, no drinking. They had all these signs. Before you know it, it almost became like, it was just ugly. They just had all these very industrial mechanical looking signs out there. And he said, so let's see if we can, it's just the best we can do on signage. Is there something that we can still deliver the same message, but it's pretty? This is a park, right? And so now they're going through and making sure their parks are beautiful, that it's a good experience for everyone there. Um, and then I also spoke with someone that talked about, how clean bathrooms is such a big, vital part of maintaining these facilities. Because if you think about, let's say you're coming in from out of town, or you're just coming in for a tournament, and you've got your one son playing, and then you've got a couple of kids in the stands with you, and then so you're just there at the playground, at the concession stand. You're not on the field. You're just a parent with a couple of kids, and then you need to go to the bathroom with one of your younger kids. Do you want to go into a bathroom that hasn't been cleaned in 3 weeks, or do you want one that was cleaned multiple times during the event? And so it makes a big difference, because it's it might have been a good baseball game, but a lot of times it's like, yeah, it was a good game, but oh my gosh, those bathrooms were terrible. They stunk to high heaven. It smelled like death in there. So, maintaining these facilities, keeping them clean, is a big part of the experience that the people that are coming onto these facilities have. And so it's a really big part of maintaining parks and recreation, is just keeping them clean, keeping them beautiful, keeping them presentable. It's kind of like your house. You wouldn't invite everybody over for a big Christmas dinner and not clean up before they come. And so imagine every weekend you're throwing a massive party, and you've got to clean up, host the party, and then tear down afterwards. Well, this is what Parks and Rec departments do every weekend for cities, right? On multiple facilities, year round. And so my hat's off to them, keeping them looking good, for all the stuff that happens on these properties. And then the break fixes. And so this is stuff that uh, it's so it kind of goes in two categories. You've got deferred maintenance, which is kicking the paint job down the road, replacing the roof down the road. Look, we don't have it in the budget to replace the roof this year. We know it's getting bad. Let's just try again next year. And before you know it, it's been 8 years and it's still an old roof, needed to be replaced 8 years ago. And sometimes these properties can be let go so far down that deferred maintenance journey that they almost have to close them down. Um, I was touring a facility in another city. And there was damage from a hurricane that had happened like 10 years ago, and it still hadn't been addressed. And it's just like, when it came through, it just damaged all the properties, and we just don't have the budget to just fix them all at once. So there's still some in the inventory that have that old damage in them. And so, deferred maintenance is a big beast. It's finding funding for it, making sure that even though we haven't done maybe a full replacement, is there anything we can do to patch it, kick it down the road a little bit? Deferred maintenance is a big worry, I know, for a lot of people in parks and recreation, and superintendents. They've got to basically try to keep it operational as much as they can, and with the manpower they have and the money that they have. And when money shows up for a full replacement, great, but until then, just keep it going. And they're able to do so much with so little. And so really appreciate all the hard work that they're doing out there. And then you've got your full-on project management. And so this could be a complete refurbishment of a park system. So we already have the park, we have the baseball fields, we have the parking lots. It's already an existing facility, but now we're tearing down the concession stand, we're building a brand new state-of-the-art one, we're putting new fencing, we're going to paint the parking lots, we've got a new playground, we're tearing the old one down, we're going to put a new playground in. And so sometimes these refurbishments can just be millions upon millions of dollars, just to update a park that was built 50 years ago. And we've deferred maintenance this thing to death, and now we've got it in the budget that we're going to build this thing up. And who does that typically responsibility fall on? Well, that's the same people that are typically managing the maintenance and upkeep and everything else. A lot of these guys have sought after construction management degrees to give them a little bit better ability to work with contractors and manage these projects as they come through their departments. And so these have become over time very skilled individuals that work inside of Parks and Rec, managing these projects. And then you've got all the way to like the new, and this is like, hey, we've been given this land and we've got the funding, and maybe the funding came with the land to build this, and it's just from the ground up. And so typically it's not just a turnkey. The Parks Department has to weigh in on, okay, well, we have standards, so we've got to work. We can't just build anything you want. We've got to build something that will last. That will be easy to make. That won't be a maintenance nightmare, 1 year after it's built. And we've got to think long term, because this park is going to be part of the city's real estate portfolio maybe for the next 100 years. So are you building something that's going to fall apart? Are you building a concession stand that's cheaply made out of particle board and looks all fancy on day one, but then just starts to rot to the ground when Mother Nature grabs hold of it? Or are you building something using like concrete and using just structures that are made to last as long as the city's going to last? Cities last a long time, thousands of years. Look at some of these older Paris, London, Rome cities, been around here forever. And so if something's designated a park in the heart of a city, and then very expensive homes are built around that, then they value that property. Chances are that property's never going to be sold, that the city's never going to lose it. That means you want to build almost forever things. You want to be thinking in 50 and 100-year time frames. And so a lot of times when you build a structure, and you're just building a building to sell snowballs, you're not thinking, I need this snowball stand to last 100 years. But in the Parks and Rec department, that's exactly what you have to think with everything you touch. Like, this is going to be serving this community for 100 years. And so it's smarter to build something that's going to last on day one than something you're going to have to tear down and start over, and either build something that's going to last then or build another terrible thing. And then just you keep having to come back and rebuild these terrible structures. And so I really like how, when it comes to project management, they have a very long-sighted vision. They're looking way, way down the road. And this is something that I've participated a little bit in when I was, an electrician. But now that I am building out a show and hearing from the masters and the craftsmen and the experts that this is their full-time job, I'm able to kind of pull back the layers of this onion and really see it, for what it is. And it really is amazing what these guys have to do, and to put yourself in their mindset of how they think. I think is just, I'm glad we get to provide a platform finally for these guys to have a voice in Parks and Recreation. And so really excited about that. All right. So that'll be all that I'll talk about for facilities maintenance. But today we have a special show coming up. This is our youth sports mastery. We also have, hold on, I do have a guest today coming up. It is Thursday, Manuel Gonzalez. He is going to be my guest on the show in about an hour and 10 minutes. So don't miss that. He's going to be on our leaders in Parks and Rec. And then our newest addition to the daily Parks and Rec show family, Youth Sports Mastery. Shout out to Aaron Lux. He is with he is helping me co-host this, and we've got a special guest coming on today. Let me show you all that logo real quick. Oh, look at that. That's our logo for the Thursday show. So that show is every Thursday, 1:30 p.m. Eastern, and this is our second one. So really excited about having a show totally dedicated weekly to youth sports, because big chunk of what Parks and Rec is. And so don't miss out on that. All right. So that's all I have for y'all today. I will continue to be gearing up this show. Like I said, give us about maybe 30 episodes on the facilities maintenance shows. We got a lot of work going on in the back. And I think about all we have left is to continue to fill up the pipeline of speakers and guest speakers and co-hosts and stuff like that. So I'm in the process of doing that right now. But appreciate all the love and support. Thank y'all for getting us to 800 followers on LinkedIn. High five to all the people that joined, and then to all the developers and the digital artists on the back end that are helping build this. And so really appreciate all the hard work they're doing. Really, they've done all the work, not me. I just get up here and talk every day about Parks and Rec. And actually, mostly I'm handing the mic over to people that are doing the talking. So really, really love everything that everyone's done, and truly grateful. All right. Craig LeBlanc signing off, the doorman. I will see y'all here in about an hour and 10 minutes for the leaders in Parks and Rec, followed shortly thereafter by the Youth Sports Mastery with co-host Aaron Locks. See you in a little bit. Thanks a lot, guys. Bye.
Welcome to the Daily Parks and Rec Show, where we highlight the essential work that keeps our parks and facilities thriving. From local ball fields to multi-use athletic complexes, field maintenance ensures every space is safe, ready, and welcoming for play and community events. Facility maintenance is the backbone of operational excellence, ensuring that recreation centers, playgrounds, and shared spaces are functional, clean, and built to last. Behind the scenes, equipment maintenance keeps vital tools and machinery in peak condition. At the core of future-forward thinking is sustainability management, integrating green practices that reduce environmental impact and enhance long-term resource stewardship. Facilities maintenance is more than routine upkeep. It's strategic, essential, and foundational to building healthy and resilient communities. This is the Daily Parks and Rec Show, honoring the professionals who keep our spaces running and our communities strong.